I'm a woman, 27, and this happened almost 3 years ago. The spring after a stretch where all four of us had been grinding through one of the worst work quarters of our lives. We needed a reset. My friend Dana booked a cabin at a lake for the long weekend, the kind of place with a wraparound deck and a dock that creaked when you walked on it. She told us she'd invited someone to come along, a guy she'd met at a bar a few nights earlier. He seemed lonely, easy to talk to, and didn't have anywhere to be that weekend either. None of us thought twice about it. Dana's always been the type to collect strays in the nicest way possible. We figured an extra person at a lake house for 2 nights wasn't going to change much. He was already there when we pulled in, sitting on the porch steps with a duffel bag, waiting. Average height, plain clothes. The kind of face that's pleasant enough you don't think much about it. He introduced himself, shook everyone's hand, and from that first hour, he was easy. Funny in a low-key way, good at filling silences without making them weird. By dinner that first night, it felt like he'd been part of the group for years. That's actually the first thing that should have bothered me, looking back, how fast it felt normal. The first real crack came the second morning over coffee on the deck. He turned to my friend Mara and asked, totally casual, if she still hated being called Marbear. Mara went quiet. Nobody in that group had ever called her that. It was a name her older brother used when she was a kid. Something she told us once years ago that she hated. She laughed it off, and maybe she'd mentioned it to Dana at some point and had gotten passed along. The conversation moved on because nobody wanted to make it weird on day one. It happened again that afternoon. He called Dana Bug, which her dad used to call her before he passed. Then later, he used a nickname for me that only existed inside my own family. Something my grandmother called me. Something I genuinely don't think I've said out loud to anyone in years. I remember standing in the kitchen that evening, washing dishes, just turning that over in my head. I was trying to find a version of events where he could have learned it. I couldn't. I didn't say anything to the others yet. I told myself I must be misremembering who I told what. That night, around 3 a.m., I woke up needing water. I walked past the black window that faces the lake. The dock stretched out into the black water under a thin moon, and he was standing at the very end of it. Not fishing, not looking at anything in particular. He was just facing the house, standing there, completely still, hands at his sides, looking up at the dark windows like he was counting them. I went back to bed and told myself he probably couldn't sleep either. People do strange things at 3 in the morning. I didn't wake anyone. I've gone over that decision more times than I can count. The next morning, Mara told us, in a voice that was trying too hard to sound casual, that she'd woken up in the night to find him sitting in the chair in the corner of her room. Not moving, not saying anything, just sitting there in the dark, facing her bed. By the time she'd fully woken up and sat up to say something, he was gone, and her door, which he'd locked, was standing open. We didn't say anything out loud to each other yet, but something shifted in the house after that. Conversations got shorter, everyone started finding reasons to be in the same room as everyone else. He didn't seem to notice the change at all, or if he did, he never showed it. He kept that same easy laugh and low-key charm like nothing had happened. We decided, without really discussing it directly, to cut the trip short and leave the next morning instead of staying the full weekend. When we woke up, he was already gone. No note, no goodbye, his duffel bag nowhere in sight. We told ourselves that was a relief, and for about 10 minutes it was, until Dana went to unlock the back door to get some air and found it already locked. Not just shut, locked. Deadbolt thrown, the way it only gets when someone turns the bolt from the inside and leaves through somewhere else. We checked every door and every window in that house. All of them were locked from the inside. Every single one. We left within the hour and didn't talk much on the drive home. A few days later, Dana tried to text him to ask carefully what the last morning had even been about. The number came back disconnected. She went back to the bar where she'd met him, the one detail we thought we could actually trace, and described him to the bartender who'd worked there for 6 years and swore up and down he'd never seen anyone matching that description, not once, regular or otherwise. I still don't fully understand how someone learns the names your family uses for you in private. I don't understand how a person locks the house from the inside and isn't in it anymore. Some nights I tell myself I'm misremembering some detail, that there's an explanation sitting just outside my memory that would make all of it ordinary if I could only find it. Last month, Mara mentioned she'd gotten a friend request from an account with no profile photo and no posts, just a blank name. She didn't accept it. She showed me a screenshot instead, and the very first letter of the username was a nickname her brother used to call her. She deleted the request before either of us could think too hard about what to do next. I still think about that dog more than I like to admit, and the exact way he was standing there facing the house perfectly still, like he was waiting for one of us to wake up and look back. I'm a guy who doesn't do well with people, and I mean that in the most literal way possible. Not shy, not anxious, just genuinely recharged by silence and drained by everything else. I work remotely, I live alone, and twice a year I rent a cabin somewhere with no cell service just to remember what my own head sounds like without noise in it. I've been doing this for 6 years. Nothing has ever happened. Not until last November. The cabin was in the northern part of the state, up a logging road that turned to gravel about 4 miles in. One room, a wood stove, a porch that wrapped around the front and one side, and trees in every direction so thick that by 3 in the afternoon, the light was already going gray. Exactly what I wanted. I got there on a Thursday, unloaded the car, and spent the rest of the day doing nothing, which is the whole point. Friday morning I woke up early, made coffee, and went out to the front porch to watch the fog sit in the tree line the way it does up there, low and heavy, like it can't decide whether to lift or drop. That's when I saw them. Boot prints, a single set coming from the direction of the tree line, crossing the yard and stopping at the base of the porch steps. Size 11 or 12, deep-treaded sole, the kind of print that means someone walking with weight behind them. I stood there looking at them for a while, running through the obvious explanations. The property owner checking on something, a hunter cutting through, a hiker who got turned around. All of it made sense. I went back inside and didn't think much more about it. Saturday morning, same thing. Same prints, same size, same path from the tree line to the porch steps. Except this time, they went up the steps, across the porch, to the window of the room I've been sleeping in, stopping maybe 6 inches from the glass. I stood on that porch for a long time. The mud was still damp, which meant recent, and the depth of the impressions was consistent the whole way. No drag, no stumble, just a straight, deliberate walk from the woods to my window. I went around the entire perimeter of the cabin, looking for prints leading away. There weren't any. Not in the yard, not in the mud along the sides, not back toward the tree line. Just the ones coming in. I took the photos on my phone. I told myself there was an explanation, that I'd missed something, that prints don't just stop existing on the way back. I checked the window latch. I still locked from the inside. I went back in and deadbolted the door and spent most of that day not reading the book I'd brought. That night I barely slept. Every time the wind moved through the pines and the cabin creaked the way the old cabins do, I was wide awake and staring at the ceiling. By morning I convinced myself I was going to pack up and leave after coffee, and I felt better having decided that. I made the coffee. I went to the front window to check the yard before going out. The prints were there again. Same path, same size. But this time they went all the way to the bedroom window on the far side of the cabin, the one directly beside where I'd been sleeping. And right there, stopping in the mud directly below the glass, was a single knee impression, like someone had crouched down and stayed there. I don't fully remember deciding to look out the bedroom window. I just remember being in front of it, my hand on the curtain, and pulling it back. He was standing at the tree line, maybe 60 feet out, right where the yard ended and the woods started. I couldn't make out a face at that distance, just the shape of a person. Tall, dark jacket, completely still, facing the cabin, facing the window, facing me. I stood there and he stood there, and neither of us moved for what felt like a long time, but was probably 15 seconds. Then the fog shifted, thicker for a moment, and when it thinned again, he was gone. No movement, no sound, just gone, the way something is gone when it steps back into the trees and the trees close around it. I was in my car in 4 minutes. I didn't pack, I just left. I called the rental company from the road once I had signal and told them someone had been on the property. They said they'd look into it. I don't know if they ever did. Here's what I keep coming back to. When I got home and went through the photos I'd taken of the prints, I found one I don't remember taking. It's a photo of the bedroom window from outside, shot close at ground level, looking up through the glass. I'm in it, asleep, mouth open, one arm thrown over the sleeping bag, face turned toward the window, like I'd rolled that direction at some point in the night. I sat on my kitchen floor for a long time after I found it. I don't know how else to describe it. My legs just stopped working. Someone was standing at my window while I slept, close enough to frame the shot, and I never heard a single thing. Not a footstep, not a breath, nothing. I was completely unconscious while someone stood 6 inches from the glass and pointed my own phone at my face. My phone says the photo was captured at 3:08 a.m. Saturday night. Door bolted from the inside, windows locked. I've looked at it probably 100 times. I still don't have an explanation. I'm not sure I want one anymore.